Welcome to the ultimate destination for all things entertainment. Get ready for exclusive access to the hottest movies, shows, music, and everything in between. From blockbuster premieres to behind-the-scenes action.
The White Lotus Season 3, Episode 7, Lovers and Fighters. One unusual quality of The White Lotus is that the show's creator, Mike White, keeps his characters' backstories to a minimum. He mainly traffics in types. The swaggering North Carolina money manager, the vain celebrity, and so on. White tells us only enough about their past to explain some of the choices they make. We know a lot about Rick's past, because his tragic childhood led directly to every movie he's made this season. But we know very little about the Ratliff kids beyond the personas they project. The cocky older brother, the rebellious lefty sister, and whatever the heck Lochlan is supposed to be. As for what made them this way, we can use our imaginations to shade in the finer details. Most of the time, this approach works well enough. There is a wonderfully wry comic moment in this week's episode, when Piper gets embarrassed while watching Lochlan struggle awkwardly with his monastery dinner. We know just enough about her to guess what she is thinking. She suddenly seems a lot like her mother, concerned less with her brother's feelings and with how his clumsiness reflects on her. See also Piper's mildly dismayed expression when Lochlan says he wants to spend a year in Thailand with her. On the other hand, Saxon's overall blankness becomes a problem in this episode, leading to one of the season's clumsiest scenes. The moment occurs at Gary's party, when Saxon watches his father swill down yet another large glass of whiskey. He asks him again if something is wrong back at the office, reminding him that, "My career is totally tied to yours." Saxon has no interests, no hobbies. "I put my whole life into this basket," he says. "Into your basket. Advertisement. Skip advertisement." Given what we have seen of Saxon this season, I am not sure he is the kind of guy who would give such a self-aware speech, saying things like, "If I'm not a success, I'm nothing, and I can't handle being nothing." I can, however, believe that Tim would answer his son's very real concerns with mumbled, "Nothing's up, kid. We're all good. It's a party, get out there." It's a tricky balancing act for White, trying to show more than he tells, and letting the audience make assumptions. I thought about this also this week during the Bangkok scenes with Rick and Frank. I figured these two were seasoned old pros, skilled at running cons, and that they would know what they were doing when they met up with Satala and her ailing husband, Jim Scotland, at the Hollingers' house. Instead, Rick and Frank are surprisingly and ridiculously unprepared. They try to get by on improvisation. Frank, in particular, is really bad at it. Sam Rockwell is hilarious here as Frank, pretending to be a big-shot director, but struggling to name any of his credits. He claims he mostly makes action films like The Enforcer, The Executor, and The Notary. That last one is a trilogy. And while Rick told Shatala that Frank had been watching her old movies, Frank can't name any of them or remember any of the characters she played. She was a prostitute, maybe? Eventually, Rick abandons his friend so he can talk to Jim, leaving Frank to babble ignorantly, albeit appreciatively, at videos of Satala's old TV variety show appearances.